Hey guys, I want to start today's lesson by going over a few questions from the opener. So the first question that I want to go over says that if the absolute value of x equals 7, what are the possible values of x? If you'll recall, absolute value refers to the distance from 0 on a number line. So if I have my number line and I want to know this magical value of x, how far away it is from 0, I know it's 7 away from 0. So I can go 7 away in this direction, and what number do I land on? I land on positive 7. I can also go 7 away in this direction, and what number do I land on there? Negative 7. So the possible values of x are going to be 7 and negative 7. So the next question says, the absolute value of x equals negative 4. What are the possible values of that x? So recall, we're looking at the distance from 0. Is it possible to have a negative distance? Do you ever run a negative amount of miles? Or do you ever measure a negative amount of inches or feet? No. So it's impossible to have a distance from 0 that's negative 4. So there is no solution here. This next problem says that the average monthly temperature for January in a Canadian city is 0 degrees Fahrenheit. The actual temperature may be 5 degrees warmer or colder from that 0 degrees. So if we want to know the maximum and the minimum temperatures, you can easily come up with this in your head. You could say 0 plus 5 would give us 5 degrees Fahrenheit. That's going to be our max. And you could say 0 minus 5 is going to give us a temperature of negative 5 degrees Fahrenheit, which is our min. So this kind of follows the same rule as absolute value. If 0 is my temperature, I can go 5 in this direction, which gives me a positive 5 degrees. I can also go 5 in this direction, which gives me that negative 5 degrees. So if you wanted to write an equation for this, you could say that the absolute value of x equals 5, because x could give you a positive 5 or it could give you a negative 5. Let's see. If I plug in the absolute value of positive 5, what do we get? 5. If I plug in the absolute value of negative 5, what does that simplify to? 5. So both of those answers work. What if I change the problem a little bit? What if I say that the average temperature was actually 2 degrees Fahrenheit? So now, again, we could say 2 plus 5 is going to give us a max of 7. And then 2 minus 5 is going to give us a minimum value of negative 3. How could you write that as an absolute value equation? I'm no longer looking at just the absolute value of x equals a number. I changed it a little bit because remember, absolute value is the distance from 0. So how far away is 2 from 0? 2. So I know that I'm going to have x minus 2, because I'm moving 2 away from that 0, equals, and we can go 5 warmer or 5 colder, so I'm going to set that equal to 5. So if we wanted to solve this problem and make sure we already have our answers, we already have that it's 7 and negative 3, but if I was given this equation, how on earth could you solve for x here? Well, I know that I'm going to have a temperature that's going to be 5 in the positive temperatures, or 5 where I'm going into the negative temperatures. So I'm actually going to take this x plus 2, or sorry, this x minus 2, and I'm going to set it equal to a positive 5 and a negative 5. If I solve for x here, I do that by adding 2. I get x equals 7, which came from this answer. If I add 2 here, I get x equals negative 3, which is what I got as my minimum. So this is a way that we can translate a word problem into an absolute value problem. This is also going to help us as we move forward with solving absolute value equations.